Joe Biden's support for the 90s crime bill has opened him up to criticism not only from the gigantic number of Democratic opponents he has in this primary process, especially those coming at him from the left, but also from Donald Trump, who over the past couple of days tweeted this: anyone associated with the 1994 crime bill will not have a chance of being elected. In particular, African Americans will not be able to vote for you. I, on the other hand, was responsible for criminal justice reform, which had tremendous support and helped fix the bad 1994 bill. Super predator was the term associated with the 1994 crime bill that sleepy Joe Biden was so heavily involved in passing. That was a dark period in American history, but has Sleepy Joe apologized? No. Now, we are all slightly stupider for having listened to that, but that is what the president is saying, and it might signify nothing because he is a denizen of the chaos realms, but it might represent a possible strategy where he believes that if Biden is the opponent in the general election, then he can attack him from the left on criminal justice reform?
Yeah, no, I think it's actually very telling because the country is so progressive that anytime we get close to an election, even the most monstrous right-wingers like Donald Trump will turn around and pretend to be more progressive than the Democratic candidate. He did it during the last election. He said that he was going to drain the swamp and end the corruption. Now that's a progressive position. Mitch McConnell and the others say no, money in politics and the corruption that comes along with it is fantastic. That's just good old Americans talking to one another. Hey, here's the Koch brothers talking to me, giving me $1 million. What a great conversation that was. So the Republican Party, lock, stock, and barrel at the national level, loves that corruption. So Trump had to run to the left of them and say, oh, I'm against corruption, right? Now, did he mean it? Of course not. Universal healthcare coverage. Trump said, I'm going to cover everyone in the country. That's a Bernie Sanders-like position. I'm not even positive Elizabeth Warren is there at this point, right? But Trump pretended to be super left. He was against the wars, left. Now, none of it is true, and he comes into office and we've ramped up some of the wars. We threatened a coup in Venezuela and halfway executed it. Luckily it's Trump, so he bungled it, right? Universal healthcare coverage, are you kidding me? No, he wanted to destroy the Affordable Care Act, then more people would be uninsured. It's all lies, but at least he had enough sense to lie because he knows the country is massively left wing. So meanwhile, knuckleheads like Biden are still going around going, 94 crime bill, I'm super proud of it. Yeah, we locked up all those innocent people. It was great, war on drugs, yes. Right? No, you idiot, people don't like that. And so you were wrong on that, but you don't have the decency to admit it. Now, a lot of people voted for the 94 crime bill. We showed you a lot of clips last week. You should check out that video on tyt.com. Comparing Biden versus Bernie Sanders. They both voted for the crime bill, and the crime bill has two good parts. It had significant gun control in there, which Biden still talks about, and he should, and the Violence Against Women Act, and that's the main reason that Bernie Sanders voted for it. But now Sanders regrets voting for it because he says all the other parts, which he at the time, and we showed you the speech, railed against, and said this is going to be terrible for African Americans, and this is problematic, and we should take that out of the bill. We should just do the Violence Against Women Act and the gun control parts, etc. But overall, he thought those parts were so important that he wanted to vote again. Biden, on the other hand, doesn't think anything was wrong with it. Even Bill Clinton, who was the president at the time and bragged about it, it was one of his signature pieces of legislation, says we were wrong, we shouldn't have done it. So one, Biden is now more right-wing than Trump on that issue, which is outrageous. So why would we vote for him?
That's the presentation.
Okay.
If Donald Trump had been in a position of power, he would have enthusiastically supported that bill.
Of course. Okay, now let's talk about the substance.
It's just a lie.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about the substance and the reality. The only reason why I'm hesitating, John, because I will give Trump credit for the criminal justice reform because all I care about is policy. And on that was good policy. I know why they did it now because it's affecting white people because of opioid addiction. I know that, but it's still the right thing to do. They're way late to it, but it's still the right thing to do. And so it's the only good thing he's done the entire presidency, but it is a good bill. And so Cory Booker, who worked on it on the Democratic side, should get credit for it, but so should Trump. Now, is Trump really for criminal justice reform overall in his life? Hell no! Is he for protecting African Americans? Preposterous. Now, we can give you dozens of examples, but the one that I've always been most animated by is the Central Park Five. So back in decades ago when this happened, this was 5 kids who were arrested, African American and Latino. A white woman was raped in Central Park, a banker. And the whole city was on fire over it, justifiably. It was just horrible, right? Now, Trump took out an ad, though, to add fuel to the fire and saying, that's a full page ad in the New York Times saying, bring back the death penalty, bring back our police. And he wanted those kids executed, and they were kids. It turns out they didn't do it.
God, he must have been just devastated.
Oh, yeah. So when they were exonerated, they found the guy who actually did do it. His DNA matched, and he confessed. So there was absolutely no question. And those many years later, those guys who were children at the time when they were first arrested were let out. When Trump was asked about it, he said they admitted they were guilty. The police doing the original investigation say they were guilty. The fact that the case was settled with so much evidence against them is outrageous. And the woman so badly injured will never be the same. In other words, I don't care that they found the right guy. I think they're guilty anyway. So does Trump really believe in criminal justice reform on behalf of African Americans? That's the most preposterous thing I've ever heard. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.